I am super excited to be here with y'all today, and I have a guest on my chat on my channel today, Zof. So, um, as you are joining in, as always, tell us when you are watching us from, and why does like comment if you have questions, if you have thoughts. Like, we really would like to welcome your participation. And why it is important, like I use my live events, my live streams, as a networking event. So comment like and pay attention to the chat, pay attention to the chat, who is commenting, who is coming in, and who is contributing, and connect with each other, because this is a networking platform. This is where we can all connect together. So if it is the first time we are connecting, and if it is the first time you are on my stream, and or like you're watching on replay, definitely drop one in the comments. But who am I? I am a career and business coach. I help software developers to discover their profitable niches, and not just discover their profitable niches, but uh, claim the authority in those niches and be visible in those niches and show up as a subject matter expert. I'm also an iOS developer who broke into entrepreneurship and started my own coaching business. So, and if you are an entrepreneurial soul just like myself, and would like to have a little bit of help how to get started with your business, or maybe you already do your business as a service provider, as a mentor, as a coach, or as a freelancer, but you need more help, hit me up. My DMs are always open. If we're not connected, as always, connect. So, and today I'm very excited to have Zove on my channel, on my platform. And it's such an honor to have you here on the platform. And first of all, I am, when we first connected, I was really impressed by your experience with iOS development, because um, you scale so many mobile apps for startups, and this is real superpower, because not everybody can brag about, well, something like that. And your passion for user experience, your passion for accessibility, like it's absolutely amazing. Um tell us what inspired you to become an iOS developer.
Sure. Um, so I'd say I got my career started when I was working on my master thesis, which was focused on cybersecurity and assessing the threat of China's cyber attacks on the US, but more from a theoretical perspective. And that had me thinking that I didn't really have the technical know how to have that rich perspective. So I started taking online courses and I stumbled upon C4Q. They were teaching iOS development at the time. So I think that's how I got my journey started and really got into iOS.
Nice, nice. And what is your favorite part about mobile development, and especially iOS development?
Um, I think for me, it's about just like you can create the not physical, but create the product and kind of see how users interact with it. And um, for them, like you can kind of envision it to be a delightful experience on their end. So I think for me, it's about creating the product for your user and kind of anticipating their needs.
Yeah, yeah. Like I can absolutely relate, because as an iOS developer, what I like to witness and what I like to see when I see someone else holding a feature like an app in on their mobile device and actually using it. And I think it's a great satisfaction, because somebody asked me, like, why don't you just do with QA or like test automation, even though like that was really great. But I like nobody really sees what I do as a like, well, as a backend developer, not directly, or um, I can't really say, hey, like, do you see how app is working? It works really well because I caught many bugs and prevented them to go into production. If anything, people would say like, oh, like your QA, that's not working. Like I know. So that's kind of my experience as well. I know that I see that you're a specialist and that you scale so many mobile apps, especially in startup spaces. So, based on your experience, what some of the pitfalls for startups or for new apps are out there, and what would you advise your users or like startups or people who are thinking about developing mobile app for their startups to avoid those pitfalls?
Sure. So I think at startups, especially like super early stage, where you might be building an app from scratch or you have a bare bones table view or a list of items, it's so important for them to iterate over it quickly and ship to the app store. I remember back at Healthy when I was part of Techstars, we were shipping to the app store sometimes like almost every week. And I think it's important to try to strike a balance between iterating quickly over your code and then maintaining that code quality. And I think the other thing about early stage startups is sometimes you have to wear multiple hats. You have to be resourceful and scrappy. So a lot of times the products might not necessarily go through the entire product cycle that we might be used to at larger companies which use agile. So I think it's important to kind of have that foresight and try to think about certain edge cases, user experience, and how to balance like both like manual regression testing as well as like unit testing, and perhaps like have something in mind about building scalable solutions because eventually your engineering team might grow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I see some supporters in the chat. Thank you so much for chat for coming in and support. And by the way, give Zoe some love. Give us reactions, give us hearts, give us comments, say hello. Because Zofan is an incredible engineer, and she's my client, and I have so much joy working with her. Especially, like I am an iOS developer, she's an iOS developer, and we have absolutely blast when we have our sessions. So yeah, definitely give Zof some love, some support, comments, all of that good stuff. So um, I think based on my experience working at a startup company, I definitely see the importance of building future-proof app and building and writing your code for tomorrow you for further develop like for developers who might join your startup later on because like when one person builds an app, then you might accidentally see like the funny names in the code base, like this button, for example, as a name, or like just when we're coding and there's no one who can review our app, so we might put something out there not necessarily appropriate, but it's in the code base, and then somebody joins like what is this what is meant to be. So I and testability and scalability is absolutely important, and I think so many startups they think that it's too early for them to hire QA engineers, but like this is absolutely not true because um, um, you like there's no such thing as too early for quality. So like that's just my uh thought on that. So let's look back at a recent WWDC. So we have a lot of features introduced, and um, based on like what you watched so far, what you've seen so far out there, what is your favorite product or favorite feature from recent WWDC?
I think for me, it's some of the animations, and specifically Phase Animator was my favorite. Just being able to add simple phases to the animation. I think if you're really focusing on the user experience, UI, UX, you can kind of experiment with that and see how it looks to the end user. And the other thing that stood out to me was Swift macros. So uh, just being able to add those annotations, for example, to enums. Yeah, curious to know what you thought.
You know what? And like like your answer like really amazed me because you didn't say anything like trivial like, oh, I like Swift data, oh, I like new Vision Pro and stuff like that. You like, based on our conversations, you were so user focused and like so focused on providing good quality to your end user, and like that answer really illustrates that. So but what I like from WWDC is I'm super curious about Vision Pro, so I will be a little bit more like generic. I will be a little bit more basic. I go with that. So, but like, hey, like animations. Now I now want to go back and watch those videos because I didn't have a chance to watch all of them. So I guess I'm like in that stage in my career when I'm like more solid developer and like I don't have time for that JC, and that kind of stuff. But like I definitely go and watch like certain snippets of code that like particularly I am working with. But Vision Pro, um, I like Vision Pro, and I think there's an opportunity there. Not necessarily that we all, as iOS developers, should just switch to Vision Pro development because this is highly costly entry for end users. So we're not necessarily going to have a big user base, but it can be potentially be a profitable niche because I was thinking like kind of looking in the future, like how I can, let's say like when even iOS developers like would come to my program, what would I advise them as a possible profitable niche? Like Vision Pro might be one of them. Like I still want to watch the market and see how it develops because it frees up so much space for us. For example, I rather do this live stream over like Vision Pro. So like I don't have to occupy so much space on my desk because I have my laptop over here. I have my big screen like right in front of me, and I have another screen. So like it's a lot of space and it's a lot of like it's a lot of wiring too, which like I should be definitely better at. So, but like I think it's good. Swift data is something that also inspired me in a way because I kind of hate core data because it is so antiquated and I think before Swift UI came out, that was kind of difficult to work with, and you had to write a lot of boilerplate code for those features. So yeah, like Swift data, like that would be my pick and my choice. Also, like I like how you point out this Swift macros. I think there's also opportunities there to organize our code, which I review your um, projects and your homeworks. And what I like about your code is that it's particularly very organized. And like, I'm absolutely not surprised that you mentioned Swift macros because indeed allows us to organize our code like very, very neatly. So, as I mentioned before, you are my client, and I'm super honored to have you in my program. I'm super honored to serve you. So, could you describe how my program affected you? Kind of like where you were before joining my program and after joining my program. What was that like? What was the transformation that you're seeing so far? You're still in the program, we're still working together, but like what kind of transformation before and after you've seen so far?
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored to be your client as well. So for me, um, I think I was like working on certain things consistently, but everybody has their blind spots. So I think, just like having you as a sounding board, but also to provide feedback has been tremendously helpful to uncover those blind spots and just to be held more accountable to certain things and really have that encouragement to put myself out there. So I think those have been big things. And I guess, I mean, the program in itself is valuable in the sense that as engineers, we might not necessarily think about other things that we need to work on, whether it's like optimizing your LinkedIn or um, maybe like marketing yourself, networking more so. So I think those have been tremendously helpful just to nail down. But I think uh, there's another layer, the mindset that you have as an engineer or any professional, really. But when you're going into interviews or just doing your day to day, I think it's important to just like be confident and go for it, even if you fail at first. So I think for me, it's been more about the tools, but as well as that mindset transformation.
Yeah, definitely. And what really inspiring for me that I like that you start putting yourself out there and you actually started producing video content, because this is what I share with my clients a lot. This is what helped me to scale my career. This is what helped me to make the difference in my career. And your effort is absolutely tremendous. And your first videos are definitely way better than mine first videos, because back in 2017, I just grabbed my phone, messy background. I don't know if I had inappropriate things on my background. I don't care. I think there was bathroom at some point and it was not clean or something along those lines. But I like how how you taking like baby steps, like small steps, but you're moving in the right direction. And your second video was absolutely amazing. Like, look at that, like the background, the little plant, because like I need a little plant, because Rashad constantly tell me like, man, like you need a plant or like on the bookshelf, like you just have a naked wall, so like just with your lines, so put something out there, put something interesting. And I keep delaying it because like I'm so busy. But like I saw your video and Rashad said like, see, like she has a plan, and it's her second video. And I'm like, okay, okay, I will get a plan. I will get a plan. So, who would you recommend this program for?
Um, I think I'd recommend it to both new or aspiring developers as well as seasoned developers because oftentimes, not saying all engineers, but some engineers tend to be focused on just like the technical side of things, and they might be leading projects, but not necessarily thinking more at a high level about their presence and networking, and maybe like communicating in a certain way. So it's essentially, I guess you could say, like you yourself are a product as well, and it matters how you market yourself. So I think in that sense, this program is really valuable, and specifically working with you has been wonderful. So I think what I find with this program is you can really mold it to your needs and communicate each step of the way, which I've been doing. And Eugene has been a great cheerleader and accountability buddy for me. And it's great to have someone who has that industry expertise and kind of bridge between like the technical side of things as well as like, I guess, like business side or executive presence. So um, he's really like supporting you each step of the way.
Yeah, and this is something that you're right. A lot of software developers like overlook, especially in this market economy. because like I talk to a lot of people like on my coffee chats or discovery calls or through my inquiry forms, and like what really makes me sad is when people with 5, 10 plus years of experience they can get a job, and when I look at their LinkedIn profile or their like activities uh, anywhere, right? Either on LinkedIn or on Twitter or anywhere else, that it's just not there, or they're doing something on the side. They created like some sort of community on the side related to their craft, but nobody really knows about it. Like, okay, I'm there on on Twitch. I'm doing like my coding videos, or I have my blog, I have my little Slack or Discord community, but if nobody knows what you do, if you don't show up as an expert to your niche, right, to your sector of the industry, like nobody really knows about you. And like this is important. And also um I've been in a situation when I got laid off, and I think it's important to have somebody in your corner, and not just like a career coach who will tell you like a trivial things like, oh, you need to do like LinkedIn, optimize your LinkedIn profile or optimize your resume. Because even with LinkedIn optimization and resume optimization, you have to know how to optimize it, because even with iOS, right? Like you can be a little bit more specific what you specialize on. For example, there are companies that are looking for AV Foundation developer, and I'm not necessarily in. I'm open to it, but again, if it was my superpower, that I would emphasize that. Or like there are specific companies that are looking for a Swift UI developer, which like I have plenty experience in Swift UI, so I will emphasize that. And not a lot of developers realize that, and I absolutely agree with you because like regarding regardless like how you like what you call it, because at the end of the day you're a business of one, you're not necessarily an employee. And this is what I try to communicate to like the whole my community, because essentially, right, like yes, you can do career training, career coaching with me, but the same principles you can apply to your business, and just add additional maybe like business training on top of that. But like the same marketing tool, it can work for business as well. So you kind of touch a little bit on that, but what is your most favorite part of being in my program?
Um, I think my most favorite part is just having a mentor who's been in my shoes. And I think, uh, there might be businesses or maybe like coaches that are trying to solve for a problem, but if they haven't been in your shoes, they can't necessarily tailor the experience or the program to your needs. So I think having that and working with you, it's been wonderful. And I think the other thing is it's like a perfect combination between the human element and the technical side of things, because it's important to have someone like empathetic by your side when you're job hunting or just like trying to make it. There will be a lot of rejections and you'll have to keep going despite of that. So I think having that person by your side who's empathetic but still knows how to kind of like push you to keep going is very important.
Yeah, yeah, like absolutely. Because in like for some of the examples that we talked about, it's important also to have that feedback, because I worked with recruiters like a lot, like in the past, and I was a part of hiring committee or hiring committees, hiring teams, and sometimes when my clients come to me and say, "Oh, I was rejected because of that," and I would sometimes provide feedback like, no, like that's not the case. It's just like sometimes your resume was not on top of the pile, and oh. oversaturated market, and it just happened, or like, oh, like you have a blind spot right there, this is what they didn't like. Stuff like that, what I normally would see in the past, what I closely work with recruiters. I'm not a recruiter, I've never worked as a recruiter, but I've been in those closer relationships with hiring teams and with talent acquisition teams, and we work well, like wonderfully together. So, what advice you would give to our viewers who are watching you right now?
Um, I think my main advice would be just don't be afraid of failing, take risks, keep trying, because that's the only way you'll learn and grow. And maybe like move more quickly towards your goals. And the other thing is get yourself a mentor, whether it's, in the form of a professional coach or one of your higher ups, and, or someone within your network, because I think they might have that level of experience or uh, be in a place in their career where you eventually want to be. So, using them or kind of having them as a sounding board, and maybe you have certain blind spots they can help uncover or even build on top of your strengths. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, and Rashad said, like, thank you for sharing your experience with us, Zoufishan. Keep shining your through your content. And Eugene, thank you for continuous support and your impact you made to others. Yeah, thank you, Rashad, for supporting us and hanging out with us. We really appreciate you. And by the way, if you are hiring and you're looking for iOS developers, Zove is on the market, and I absolutely recommend. And not because she's my client, because I'm a man of integrity, and if something is not there, I would never go live and say like, "Hey, hire that person," because if something is missing, I would work with my client to cover and close those gaps. But working with Zove was absolutely wonderful, and I always recommend her to my recruiters. And she has wonderful expertise, and she scaled a few apps, like few startups. And their iOS apps, and those expertise are absolutely in demand. So if you are indeed of iOS developer, so grab Zoe when she's available, because she's a wonderful professional, and she really putting herself out there, and she's invested in her personal development, which is important. And you want to have software developers who are invested in their development, who want to better themselves, who want to go to that next level, because this is what makes a great engineer: the growth mindset, and uh, willingness to invest in yourself and keep growing. So, Zove, how people can find you, either if they want to network with you and connect with you, or if they want to hire you as an iOS developer, what would be the best way to connect with you?
So my DMs on LinkedIn are always open, and also I'm on Twitter, which I use less frequently, but still my DMs are open on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for stopping by my live stream, and also as you hear our talk through like Zoe's journey, and if you thought like, maybe I need a mentor, maybe I need a coach, I need help with my executive presence, I want to show up as authority in my niche, in my industry, send me a DM. My DMs are always open if you need help. Let's just start the conversation going. And everybody who showed up to our live stream, like, we really, really appreciate each and every one of you. Uh, I really like my LinkedIn community because I have so much support, so much love, and so much appreciation for like just like really showing up here online and talking to the community. That's absolutely wonderful. And thank you, Zoe, for being here on my channel. And I will see you in my next video. Bye, y'all.
Bye.